Point on taxes, I'll come back to you.
All right, well, no, I'm switching to Texas history because I think you got a couple things wrong. Now,
Well, of course I get a lot of stuff wrong. I'm just going with the gestalt. You could nitpick anything I said. I'm going to come back to you. Okay, fine. We're going to disagree on Texas history when we return. I can't wait to hear this. We're going to go to break. And then we're going to come back to you. Then we're going to go to Josh, Frank, Joshua, and others. I just briefly want to show this on screen because I asked for it. It's being added to the article. Alexa caught fixing ratings at target anti-Obama news sites. We have the untouched graphics in there proving it, but what's stunning is if you take Infowars.com and MSNBC or Drudge Report and MSNBC or Drudge Report and the other sites are WorldNet Daily, on October 1st exactly last year, they lower all of us and turbocharge these other sites. So if the graph was in reality, you just keep it going, and then the spikes you see, it would have been flat and then spiking, going up about 25, 30%. So in truth, Fox News is plunging. Oh, yeah, Fox News got their thing cooked, too. But then Fox News is going back up. So in reality, Fox News is going up. They've got them going down. In reality, Daily Kos is going down. They've got them going up. I mean, this is just incredible. They go to one of the major rating services and cook it and don't even phase it in over a few months. They do it October 1st. And I guarantee you when they get sued or whatever, they're going to go, well, we just changed our algorithm. Really? To where anybody that doesn't hate the country, I mean, look at Infowars. They really hate us. They dropped us by almost 80%. And then when you look at our Google, we're up 30. PBS is up, 200%. We're down massively. I mean, it's just MSNBC's up 200%. We're down 80%. I mean, it's just Media Matters, run by the White House. Why? Look at that. Look at all. That's kind of like Michelle Obama's fake Twitter accounts. They said, what, 96% of them were fake or something? Just, it's all fake. It's all fraud. My listeners are all there. Our viewers are all there. But let's make them really angry. Let's tell everybody about the show today. Send out, email out, Facebook, Twitter, on their platforms, our videos, our articles. Get them out every day. Make the commitment. I salute you. Okay, Chris in Georgia, go ahead. What do you disagree with?
Okay, Alex, you got to keep in mind, I greatly appreciate...
No. Don't preface. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay. Now, I know you know Texas history better than I do.
Not that good.
You also know this. You also know this as well. When Lee and Grant, U.S. Grant and Robert E. Lee were junior officers in the Mexican-American War, they both wrote home protesting the atrocities that the U.S. Army was committing against Mexicans.
Yes.
Up to 40% of U.S. troops defected. Have you ever heard during the Mexican-American War because they were so demoralized?
Well, that's because our troops were moral compared to a lot of their armies. It's absolutely true.
Have you ever heard of the St. Patrick's Battalion?
Yeah, that was Catholics made up of U.S. and Irish.
U.S. Irish soldiers that defected and joined the Mexican side. And now I'm not saying that makes the cause of Texas today tainted or anything. I greatly appreciate the example of Texas.
But I mean, Mexico had Santa Anna and others committing horrible atrocities. So bad in Guatemala, they broke off. What does the Mexican-American War have to do with Texas? The Mexicans were coming all the way up in Oklahoma, killing anybody they found, the Mexican army. They were committing atrocities. Hell, there were atrocities in World War I with Blackjack Pershing when the Mexicans attacked Texas, so he went and committed atrocities back. No one's arguing. These are all straw men, Chris. I never said that there weren't atrocities committed in the invasion of Mexico.
All I'm saying is that I haven't heard you illustrate that side of it yet, and it just purifies your discussions when you show more of a balanced point of view. And now I told you I greatly appreciate the example of Texas. I was there at my daughter's graduation in Austin last year. I saw 3 times as many Texas flags as I did U.S. flags and chuckled. It's just the opposite here in Georgia.
That's what we need is states' rights. God bless you. I appreciate your point. That is a legitimate criticism, as I should get to more angles of history like that. Plus, it's super interesting. I just got to think of a parallel. Look, when they attack the American people, you're going to see the whole military defect. That's why they want to go to robots. The globalists can be pushed over. I'm telling you, they're a joke. I didn't say that correctly, or I'm wrong about that. It's hard to think on your feet and not have a teleprompter. But thinking it's even harder to be a slave. Let's talk to Frank in North Carolina. Thanks for holding her on the air.
Yeah, Alex, man, I'll get into the ring with you any day, man. Just send out the call, and promise me you'll do that.
Well, you haven't made me mad, but you might beat me up. I mean, I'm sure I could beat Jon Stewart, so I don't want to get in the ring with you. Plus, I mean, when I get super famous, I mean, it would help me get the word out to get in the ring with Piers Morgan or somebody like Jon Stewart. I mean, I don't actually like fighting, so, I mean, what would I get from fighting
I'm
you?
not famous. I probably couldn't make you famous. I know a guy down here that's famous, though. He's one of your bigger supporters, Keith Larson at WBT Radio. He's been promoting your show for so many years. Every opportunity, he's always talking about Infowars.com.
Well, he's awesome. I don't know who he is, but maybe I've been on a show. I can't keep track. So go ahead. What do you disagree with?
I don't know if you've ever been on there. He's always talking about you. But, you know, I've seen the 9/11 Truth Movement. I've been watching it for about 10 years, and the fire seems to have gone out of it some years ago to me. And I know this. I've become aware of this woman. She was a flight attendant for 30 years, and she just woke up a couple years ago, and she's written a book, and I really wish you'd get her on there. But I think this will reignite the 9/11 Truth Movement. She's become very prolific. She's on a lot of radio shows out there. People are waking up. Commercial airline pilots are ordering her book by the truckload.
Okay, what's her name?
They're like, how come we never saw this before? Her name is Rebecca Roth, and the title of her book is Methodical Illusion. But I called in about the double standard. I feel like you have Wayne Madsen. I give you a lot of credit for having him on. I've heard him for about 10 years on your show, and I think he's pretty good. He's pretty hardcore. He's a little bit too far to the left, perhaps, for me. But I noticed over the years, more and more, you've been becoming more and more comfortable and kind of buddying up with the kind of neocon, kind of fake conservative or Zionist wing of the political element. And
that's because I work for them. That's because I get direct orders from Tel Aviv every day, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but it's just something I've noticed. I mean, you woke me up. You were on George Norrie's show one night. I think it was in December of 2000.
All right, well, listen, you made your statement. I appreciate it, but let me be serious with you, okay? I've been very critical of many of the policies in Israel. There's a leftist UN move to destroy Israel as part of a larger global government plan. Just like I don't agree with the police, but I don't want to have a civil war with them, okay, on many fronts. The same thing with Israel. I'm not obsessed with Israel. I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm trying to promote a culture of liberty, free market, family, and due process and choice, like on vaccines. So I don't try to get into bashing Catholics, bashing Jews, bashing this, bashing that. And I've had the anti-Israel crowd make up outrageous things about me. So I've got to say, the folks that are bashing Israel, I bet a lot of them actually work for some of the Israeli lobby, because that's what Cass Sunstein said they do, to discredit legitimate criticism of Israel. You know, you got these professors exposing 5 years ago that Israel lobby's manipulating our internal operations. I don't like that. I don't like any foreign government doing that. That said, though, it doesn't mean I then embrace the whole anti-Israel crowd, who a lot of them are just big losers who want to say they're big men and just say I work for Israel. But then they'll say, Alex Jones woke most people up, but man, he works for the Israelis. I mean, it's just not real. And so there is no double standard. I am not a Israel file, but because either way, I don't worship Israel. I don't obsess on Israel. I'm going to let you finish up when we come back. Stay there. The tax exemption where you get some money back for the number of children you have, similar to U.S. law, that if you didn't take the vaccine, upwards of $15,000 to $20,000 in Australian would be held back each year. Then a 2006 interview came out when he was in the general government, not prime minister, where he said, I will not give my daughters the Gardasil shot because of the problems with it. He's now mandating Gardasil for girls, even though the insert says doesn't protect you from human papillomavirus, even though it's been banned in places like Japan and India. What we're about to cover is over the top. And I want people to very quietly just focus for a moment and center yourselves, myself included, so that what we're about to cover doesn't just get lost in transmission. Because the group of stories David Knight's about to cover, and our eyewitness we're going to play a clip from, gives you the entire picture. We're under what I call soft kill. Actually, Colonel Alexander calls it that. Silent weapons for quiet wars, where you're hit with radiation, you're hit with chemicals, you're hit with biologicals, it kills you 30 years later. It debilitates you first and puts pressure on the population. The .223 round, developed for Vietnam, and the Colt M16 was actually a great weapon. It's been perfected now. Had its problems, but it was designed to maim and to debilitate and to hit bone at high speed, 2,500 feet a second or faster, and break up. And that's what happens when you shoot wild hogs, deer, you name it. But I've shot telephone books with them, you name it, with Full Metal Jacket or hollow point. They fragment. Other rounds don't do that to anywhere near the same extent. .308, 50 cal, other rounds used by NATO. That is a soft kill weapon, and Colonel Alexander in his paper talks about it. And then when you study soft kill, you look around you and you realize it's what they call unconventional warfare. And David's going to break down from the Army War College their definition that's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. You know, when we talk about unconventional warfare, and that's the way the military talks about Jade Helm, some of the reporters I've talked to would say, well, they report it, this is unconventional, but it's realistic military training. And it's like, you have to understand that unconventional warfare is a very specific term, just like asymmetric warfare. If you go to Wikipedia, you'll see this. Now, there's a DoD Wikipedia entry that doesn't really get to the heart of the matter. The other one is far better because it's got quotes from John F. Kennedy and others. But they say this: the general objective of unconventional warfare is to instill a belief that peace and security are not possible without compromise or concession. Specific objectives include war weariness, curtailment of standard of living, taking away civil liberties. Where have we seen all this before? And of course, that's the essence of it. And so we are living under an unconventional warfare. And one of the aspects of it, Alex, is medical tyranny.
And the reason I don't get a lot into those specifics with the nurses, it's so painful when you actually talk to them and you learn they're withholding food and water from old people that can walk and are fine but are wards of the state.
Yes.
That was even in the Wall Street Journal with the Wesley Smith series of articles. Then we discover years ago that there's don't treat list in the VA. It breaks last year, and it goes from premeditated Watson computers from IBM deciding not to treat people that are treatable, young and old, male and female, black and white, horrible slow deaths. They won't give Joe Biggs surgery, won't help him.
Yeah.
Same deal. He's on a don't treat list. He's been there like 50 times. They won't help him. And we know you do what you're told, you're put on a don't treat list. We hear about how we love veterans all day, but they're killing them right in front of us.
Yeah.
Well, what about 70% of foster children being on psychotropics, and on average 7, national average, same average in Texas? You can pull up those headlines. 70% of foster children on antidepressants, and on average 7 drugs. And medical doctors have gone public in Texas and said, I used to be for this, but we put them on 7 drugs. Next they have convulsions. Next they're dead. These were healthy kids. In 2 years they're dead. It's soft kill, and they're testing to see what they can get away with. You had a nurse on. We're going to play clips of this, and you have these incredible quotes. I'm going to give you the floor here for the next 5 minutes, David. I just hope the listeners realize how over the top this is, and I hope the enemies of this broadcast, when you lie about us, when you censor us, when you attack us, when you delist us, when you do that, you're signing on to the other side. Do you really want to be part of euthanizing troops and little babies? And be careful. Those of you that have never been in a fight, never been in a big car wreck, never been kidnapped, never been hurt, never been through pain, never been in combat, you sit there in your soft position going, yeah, go ahead, I don't care. You will have hell visited on you, not by us. Even if you don't believe in God, the universe has a way of what comes around goes around. I'm God-fearing. I can feel the will of the universe. I'm going to call it that. And I can feel, when I even think about the stuff you're doing, how much my soul shakes. So you think before you make jokes about what we're about to cover here. David, I want to drill into this. I want to get more nurses, more whistleblowers. I know this is going on. 5 years ago, they changed, or now 6 years ago, the inserts that said never get a pregnant woman the shot, never give a newborn baby or a premature baby this, never give a baby that's already sick or has autoimmune problems the shots, because they knew it would exacerbate it